Hey, welcome to The Explainer. So, you've probably heard this one before, right? The climate has always changed. It's just a natural cycle. And you know what? It's a totally fair question. So today, we're going to dig right into the science behind it. We'll look at the massive forces that have driven Earth's climate for millions of years, and then we're going to see if they line up with what's happening right now.
And really, this whole explainer, it all boils down to one single, really common idea that gets right to the heart of the whole climate debate.
And this is it right here. The thinking is, hey, since the Earth has warmed and cooled on its own for, well, forever, then today's warming must just be part of that same old pattern. Honestly, it's a very logical place to start. So let's take a look at what actually drives those natural cycles. And let's be super clear about something from the get-go. That first part of the statement, it's 100% correct. The Earth's climate has always changed, and for millions of years, it was pushed and pulled by these incredibly powerful, slow-moving natural forces.
In the deep, deep past, it really came down to two major players responsible for these huge climate swings. We're talking massive long-term volcanic activity and these slow, predictable wobbles in Earth's orbit around the sun. Let's break down each one.
Okay, so first up, volcanoes. But I want you to get the picture here. We are not talking about a single eruption like Mount St. Helens. No way. Think about entire regions, huge volcanic provinces, spewing unbelievable amounts of CO2 in the atmosphere for centuries, sometimes even thousands of years. This, of course, would dramatically warm the planet. Then, eventually, those volcanoes would go quiet. And over thousands and thousands of years, the Earth's natural systems, like the oceans absorbing it, new rocks forming, they would slowly draw that CO2 back out of the air. The planet would cool, and ice would start to grow again. It's a super powerful cycle, but, and this is the key part, it is incredibly slow.
All right, so that's one driver. The second one works on an even grander, longer timescale. The best way to think about it is like a great cosmic clock, just ticking away and setting the rhythm for Earth's ice ages over eons.
What we're talking about here are called Milankovitch Cycles. These are just these really predictable changes in how the Earth orbits the sun. Sometimes it's more of a circle, sometimes more of an oval, and also little wobbles in the Earth's tilt. Now, they don't change the total amount of sun energy hitting the planet, but they change where that energy lands. So, for example, you could get slightly cooler summers in the northern hemisphere. Doesn't sound like much, right? But that's enough to let snow stick around all year, and then the next year and the year after, until it builds up into these gigantic, continent-sized ice sheets. Over tens of thousands of years, these cycles have basically been the master switch for flipping us in and out of ice ages.
Okay, so we know these natural forces, this massive slow-motion volcanism, and these cosmic orbital wobbles. We know they were the big players in the past. And that brings us right back to our original question. Are they the ones pulling the levers on our climate today?
To answer that, we have to look at the evidence. We have to see what's happening in our world right now and check if the fingerprints match those ancient drivers. And folks, this is where the story takes a really sharp turn.
Because when you look at all the available data, all the science, the answer is a simple, straightforward, and completely unambiguous no. The ancient drivers are not what's causing the warming we're seeing.
And the why behind that no is crystal clear. First off, those orbital Milankovitch cycles, right now all of them are actually in a long-term cooling phase. If they were in charge, we should be very, very slowly heading toward the next ice age, not warming up. And second, we'll just look around. There are no massive volcanic provinces erupting for centuries on end. The natural fingerprints, they just aren't on the weapon.
So you can see the huge difference here, right? On one side, you have the forces that used to drive the climate. On the other side, you have today's reality. Those natural forces are either offline or are actually pushing us, gently, toward cooling. This means something new is in the driver's seat, something that's completely overwhelming that natural system. And that something is CO2 from human activity.
So if we've ruled out the usual natural suspects, we have to look for the modern culprit. And all the evidence points to a new climate driver, a smoking gun that perfectly explains the rapid warming that we're all observing.
And that driver with near 100% scientific certainty is the carbon dioxide released by our activities. I mean, the physics is basic. CO2 traps heat. And when you look at the timeline of our emissions, which just skyrocketed after the Industrial Revolution, it lines up perfectly with the rapid warming we've measured.
And look, this isn't some fringe idea. A massive survey from Cornell University looked at thousands of peer-reviewed climate papers. They found that the consensus among publishing climate scientists is now over 99.9%. I mean, getting scientists to agree on what to have for lunch is hard enough. A 99.9% agreement on something this big is, well, it's about as close to a scientific fact as you can possibly get.
But you know what might be the most powerful piece of evidence? It's not just coming from university labs. This quote right here, this comes directly from internal memos written by Exxon's own scientists decades ago. They saw it. They knew then that burning fossil fuels was going to warm the planet to a dangerous degree. The evidence wasn't just external, it was confirmed from the inside.
So, let's wrap this up. The evidence is just really clear. Yes, the Earth has natural cycles, powerful ones. But the warming we're living through today, it isn't one of them. The driver isn't some slow, natural, cosmic process. It's new, it's us, and it's happening incredibly fast. Which really leaves us with one final thought to chew on. If the cause is different this time, if the cause is human-made, what does that mean for this solution?